Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Range is hot. Lock and load. It's time for the Gun Rack with your hosts, Joey and Drew.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gun Rack, Sonoran Desert Institute School of Firearms Technology's official podcast. I'm Drew Poplin with you here today. Hope everyone's had a fantastic week so far. You know, with the weather getting nicer, hopefully this is applicable for wherever you're at. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're like Caleb Downing in Alaska where it's just cold. But hopefully the weather's getting nicer for you guys. Curious if you guys have been out to the ranges so far. Yeah, it's getting a good time of year for that. So definitely take advantage of that. Today, as you can tell from the title, we have Josh Jenkins on the podcast. Many of you guys may know of Josh. He appeared on our 2024 firearms draft episode just a little bit of a month ago. So we're really excited to bring him back onto the podcast and just talk to him, get to know him a little better. Before we get into that, let's talk about Sonoran Desert Institute. Sonoran Desert Institute, SDI, is an online school that helps students learn the skills and techniques that they'll need to be successful in the firearms and unmanned technology industries. SDI is accredited by the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, the DEAC, and currently we offer 3 programs in firearms technology. 1, we have the Associate of Science in Firearms Technology. 2, Certificate in Firearms Technology Gunsmithing, and 3, the Certificate in Firearms Technology Handgun Specialist Program. Now, if you want any information about any of those programs, please go to our website. That's www.sdi.edu. Now, coming to us from the great state of North Carolina, y'all know him as the owner/GM of Peaceful Molotovs from our most recent firearms draft episode. Definitely go give that a listen. Mr. Tyro Firearms himself, it's Josh Jenkins. Josh, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure, especially when you're wearing a shirt like that today. Like, we need that color. We need the vibrancy here. So,
Funny enough, this was a gift from my father-in-law. He got it in '74 when he went to Hawaii. So
ooh, okay.
so it's not only vibrant and bright, it's vintage too. So
The extra points for that. Yeah. Now, you're still in Lexington, right?
yeah, I'm just outside of Lexington in what we consider the West Davidson area of Davidson County.
Gotcha.
But it's in a little town called Tyro. It was right on the Kings Highway. A little bit of a history. It was on the Kings Highway going up it through North Carolina, what eventually became 150 and 52 down into Salisbury. And it basically followed the exact same path as the railroad and whatnot. So
Cool deal. Cool deal. Yeah, I actually didn't know that. I grew up about an hour away from where you're at now, but I spent about 3 years living there in Winston-Salem, Kernersville, in that area, which feels like it's right down the road, or it feels like it should be right down the road. For some reason, that drive always ends up taking longer than you'd expect. But yeah, so pretty familiar with the area you're at. Now, have you always lived in that area, or did you move there?
yeah, so no, so I lived in North Davidson, closer to Winston, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So lived up in the North Davidson area, graduated from there. And then immediately, we're talking within a month of graduating, left and moved towards Charlotte for, years and years, met my wife down there. And then, about 2020, decided, had about enough of that. It got a little crazy down in that area and again, a lot of people had pretty similar feelings about that time frame in 2020. So I found this little farm we live on now and we moved back. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Being in Kernersville during 2020, like, I thought that was crazy. I could not imagine what it'd be like in Charlotte.
so the name of Kernersville. It's unofficial name or what everyone calls
K
it. Right?
Vegas.
Yeah, K Vegas. That's right.
One and only, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, not all the furniture market area, High Point, Thomasville, Kernersville, all that, man. So that's my yeah. I knew at least 4 or 5 people that had people that worked or related in the furniture. So some of the woodworking stuff that I've picked up over the years is as a direct result of that. So
Oh, okay. That would actually make a lot of sense. For those that don't know, that particular area, like in particular, I think High Point sort of like is the crown jewel at the furniture market, or it used to be.
Yeah,
But that was sort of what this area was known for a lot of time.
big chair. Yeah, the big chair in Thomasville.
Yeah.
There's gonna be people are gonna have to do a lot of research on it. So like the big chair. What are they talking about?
I mean, who in this wide world does not know about the big chair?
I
You
mean,
know,
I don't know. So
it's practically up there with the Lincoln Memorial. So
yeah, absolutely. You need to see it and touch it to believe it. So
yes. So being a North Carolina boy, I feel compelled to ask Duke, Carolina, NC State, Wake, or don't care.
that's a fun question. My day job, I work for University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Really?
Yeah, I am their I'm their resident hacker. So I break their stuff. I'm their professional hacker in my day job. Now, my wife is a massive Duke fan.
Oh,
So yeah, so you can imagine when I come home with that and said, "Hey, UNC's offered me a job," and like she legitimately didn't talk to me for 45 minutes. It is that big of a thing right here. Now, to answer your question, I don't really give a rip. I just know that around the Final Four time, like it's really big that I just absolutely pull for UNC and piss her off. So.
yeah. It's times like this where I'm glad that like I ended up marrying someone from like Syracuse. So it's it's like, yeah, I mean, you guys are technically in the conference, but you don't really count.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
No, if it's not Tobacco Road, then it doesn't matter to me. If it's not one of those teams, so
Oh, yeah. I always grew up like my dad was a big UNC guy. And so, yeah, I sort of adopted that, in particular in basketball.
mhm.
But then as I got older, I found myself, maybe it's just because they were kind of a more local team to me, but like I
Right.
ended up pulling for Wake Forest more most of the sports.
Because
Like,
yeah, because just right up the road. Yeah,
yeah, and like no one really hates Wake Forest. They kind of just exist and
they got a cool mascot, and they got a pretty cool hospital too. So
yeah, it's like kind of like everyone's second team, which is pretty inoffensive. I'm like, okay, well, yeah.
it is the beige of basketball teams.
Yes. I mean, they quite literally like that gold has turned to beige over the years, so you're not too far off. Okay, so this is interesting. Like, I'm glad that I asked that question because I would have known that you basically are the resident hacker at UNC Chapel Hill. Yeah, let's talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit. Like, how did you get into like computers and stuff, and especially to that level to be able to?
that's a great question. It's a product of a very troubled childhood and very understanding parents.
Oh,
Uh, I would spend summers down in the Myrtle Beach area,
hmm,
and one of the things I got into was getting to the highest point of the high rises down there without having to actually stay there. And the whole thing was I'd take a camera with me, a little disposable camera. I'd get to the tallest point I could and take a picture, right? And
uh-huh,
I do that per summer, right? And so like I wouldn't know how good the shot was. And this was back in the day, right? Like I wouldn't know how good the shot was until way later, right?
sure.
So I get home and I'm getting it developed. So I honed some skills of because like what I do right now is I test their physical security, but I also test like the digital security, like their websites, their internal networks, and stuff like that. So I'm literally doing what bad guys do. It's just that they pay me to do it to make sure that the bad guys can't.
Okay, so you might have the best job in the world already.
I enjoy it. It's taken me a while to get to this point, right? I mean,
Sure.
I enjoy it. So the natural question is what how does that go to the next step? That's the next natural question, right?
It is now, but now I'm just kind of curious about all the buildings you went to in Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah, no. So okay. So are you familiar with the where Apache Pier is? And again, I guess the statute of limitations is over at this point.
Sure.
I feel like I could probably tell a couple of these stories.
I
So
would
you go,
say, listen, man, our podcast gets like maybe 300 listeners.
but it's that one cop that's retired. He's like, it's that kid. It's him, right?
I finally got you. Son of
That's right. It's that one kid we got. Nah, so like down in Apache Pier, there was the Sands Ocean Club, right?
yeah.
It's a big building. They had the lazy river down there. They had it was this big pink building. But anyway, so you get up to the top, and there was always a gate that said, "Hey, residents and guest only." And so I just we'd all jump that anyway. But further down the road, further down the beach towards the pier, there was this big yellow Y building. It was tall. I remember as a kid, there was this. You'd walk in the middle, and I can't remember the name of it. But you walk in, and there was a cigarette machine there, like an old school cigarette machine. And there was a guard, and I'd go to the top. I'd get a picture because that was the last one I ever got into because like there was a door that was always locked. And then one summer, the door to the roof was unlocked, and I got up there, put a cinder block there so I wouldn't pull like a hangover and get stuck up there, right?
Oh,
And I got a picture from the top there, and that was my pinnacle. That was my goal. So stuff like that. But that's how I learned how to talk my way past people, right? It's like, hey, I forgot my card, and it was believable because I'm a kid, right? So I figured out
sure.
that most people, if you just act like you know what you're doing and have enough credibility, you're going to walk in. So that leads me into doing like a lot of the stuff I do today, where I'm working. So I do some contract work as well for a couple other companies, and they
Hmm.
send me to banks in other parts of the country to test their physical security. So like I walk in and I'll try to get access to critical areas, right? Bank vaults, stuff like that. Or I'll try to take sensitive information like the trash can that has the secure shredding bin. There is a fantastic picture of me with it in the back of an SUV. Just I walked in and said, "Hey, I'm here with your shredding company. I need to take your thing off," and they let me take it off. And literally, that's got hundreds of social security numbers in it, right?
Yeah.
So, so I want you to think about that. Yeah. And I like to tell people if someone's not getting reprimanded for the work I do, I'm not working hard enough.
Sure. So how like for anyone that's curious and get into that line of work, like how do you start doing that?
So I mean, I worked in IT for many, many years. I worked for a help desk and just rode the help desk for years. And then as I went along, I would pick up little security things here and there. I'd be like, "Hey, can I help with the network security? Help you do these ACLs or access control list?" And then
Hmm.
"Hey, can I help you with the password policy? Can I help you do this?" And then I got lucky. The next job I got real lucky where someone took a chance on me and let me do their ISO 27001 policy work and whatnot. So and then that kind of led me down another couple of paths. And like I said, just kept developing it from there. And then the one real big shot was the company I was just telling you about, the one that I do the other stuff for.
Hmm.
The big shot was we were in Charlotte and they wanted to see some of the physics because I build a lot of my own equipment too for like physically hacking into places like little card readers that you can put in line with stuff. So I built him one of this, and I swear to you, it looked like a time bomb. All right, it had the keypad, it had the wires, it had the battery pack.
Uh-huh.
It looked really sketchy, right? But it wasn't. It was like it's a like I pull it out and I'm showing it to him, and he gets this deer in the headlight looks, and then he's just like, "Are you a bomb maker?" Just right across the table. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, "You need to put that away before the cops come and arrest me and you." So, so
So we got a little bit into that. Now, how did you get into firearms? Like, was that like something you grew up with as a kid or something that came along later in life?
no, great question. So for me, we had guns in the house. We had, the shotgun, which is the family shotgun that had been passed down from male heir to male heir to male heir. So,
Hmm.
it was used to, hunt game, right? Like that's what it was for. It's an old Sears and Roebuck, like $12 gun back in the day, maybe $100 now, right? So
Oh,
we had that one. We never fired it. And then I had an old Henry repeater that my other grandfather bought me as when I was a day old. He said, "Give this to the kid when he gets old enough." But outside of that, hunting and guns and gun culture wasn't really a thing in our house, right?
hmm,
But I got into it a little later in life. My brother-in-law, he was in the military. He's actually me and him did some stuff, and like he helped build my first AR, and then it kind of got out of control after that.
yeah.
So and then I got, and again, like that, what I was talking about earlier with the woodworking stuff, like some of these older guns, the woodwork on was just beautiful. So like working on that and bringing them back to a state where it's like beautiful, right? Like they already have a natural beauty and a story to them anyway, but bringing them back to what someone would have seen 100 years ago is very, very appealing to me.
Mm. Well, I was gonna actually get into that later, but we can talk about it now.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, sorry.
no, no, you're good. You're good. I did notice like during the draft or whatever, you seem to be drawn to like some of these different firearms, especially your first pick being a 58 caliber musket. Is that something that you see yourself maybe focusing on with firearms from now on, like kind of working on restorations and preservations?
Yeah, I mean that's a bulk of what I do right now, right? That's
Okay.
that's that's a bulk of what I do. Like that particular one that you're mentioning right there, that one has been in my shop, right? Like
Hmm.
I have a because again I have it and I worked on it and that one had an issue with the mainspring, so I had to pull the actual locking mechanism out and put a new mainspring in there because it was a weapon that was used for ceremonial purposes for the Home Guard here in Lexington years ago. So the
Okay.
home guard was like this thing they had back in World War One that if because our military wasn't super big back in World War One, right? We were like
Uh,
25th, 26th large. Portugal had a bigger standing military than we did, right? So like the whole idea was like to have a militia, right? To
okay.
if
Yeah.
something were to go down. But part of their initiation was this rifle that they would, you'd walk under a bunch of these rifles, right? And so the gentleman who brought it in, he had acquired it at an auction, and because the mainspring was out, because they only use them for ceremony.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
he asked me if I could redo it for him. So went and found the spring from a company up in New York, and got it working for him. He was happy as a clam. So
Is that something that like really draws you to doing that type of work? It's like seeing the look on people's face when you're able to hand it back to them.
yeah, because it connects with their memories, right? So there's a shotgun I worked on. It belonged to a guy. Him and his dad used to hunt with it, right? And his dad's been gone many years. Handing it back to him and it being able to work again. You can see in someone's eyes when they connect with those memories again. And so yeah, like it's a nice gift to give somebody. On top of them me doing the work and being paid for it, but it's a gift that I give someone and they're happy for a few minutes, right?
Hmm.
makes their day, right?
Yeah. Cool deal. So you and your brother-in-law, you said
Mhm.
your brother-in-law, right?
Yeah, he was a
What?
naval corpsman in the early years of the second go around of Iraq.
Gotcha. Well, first of all, tell him I appreciate his service.
Yeah.
Second, how did that like transition to you ultimately come into SDI? Like, how'd you find out about the school? What were your first thoughts?
Well, he watches a lot of Brandon Herrera and all those guys, and so we basically both moved back to this area around the same time.
Mm,
And so for a portion of it, he was working out of my office, and like he would be like, "Yeah," and he'd show me this and be like, "Okay," and then like literally, like it was like every video there was an ad, and he would talk about it, and then we watched Quran Thumb. So we would talk about it. So it was just something that was always kind of there when we were
sure.
talking, and we're like, okay, so I started investigating a little bit because again, it sounded like something to do because, like I said, it kind of got out of control with us building stuff, right? So I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to formalize that a little bit, and I was like,
Mm,
let's just see what happens because I told my wife and I told him, and I was like, I'm gonna do one semester, see what happens, right? Or one semester, see what happens,
mhm.
see how I like it. And if I like it, then we'll keep going. And I liked it.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. It literally just got more and more. It just again, it snowballed again because you get those first couple of classes where it hits like really well. Then it's those classes that are in the middle that really kept me going because like the muzzleloader class that
Mhm,
was really exciting for me, like
mhm.
super exciting for me because like I built it, did all the stuff that I normally like to do, and then there was a metalworking component that I was very uncomfortable with, right? Very unknowledgeable about, but worked my way through it, and I think it looked halfway decent. So
Now, was having the muzzleloader build in the associates program, was that like a big reason why you chose the associates program off the bat?
yeah, there was absolutely that because again, it's that old historic type of gun, right? The same time I was doing that one, I also got me a little Kentucky pistol, and I did
Oh,
it
okay.
at the same. So what I was doing was I was testing out some of the stuff I was going to be doing on the main muzzleloader because I didn't want to screw it up. I was like, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
It's like this is for a grade over here, so I'm gonna try it over here and see if it works, and it did. And so, like I said, I built them in tandem. So
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Yeah. So,
yeah,
and when did you enroll? Do you remember?
it was this time last year. It was
Okay.
literally a year ago today, I think. Yeah.
Really?
But yeah, yeah, as of right now, yeah, it was a year ago today.
Well, happy anniversary, I guess. That's pretty that's pretty sick timing.
That's prescient as all get out. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so while you were at the school, did you have a favorite class? Obviously, the muzzleloader was very appealing to you. You mentioned like some of the stuff that you were enjoying. Was there like maybe a favorite professor or something you had while you were there?
Yeah, Scott Parr. Honestly, he was okay. So and not for the reason you're thinking. So Scott Parr, or Professor Parr, he was one of the first professors I had that when he was giving me feedback, it was remarkably constructive, right? Like it was like, hey, you should do this, 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 and this. Check these resources right here. I mean, like it felt like we were having a discussion when we were talking about stuff, right? Like, it wasn't just, hey, you got this wrong, try again, right? No,
Yeah.
it was legitimately like he was giving like decent enough feedback that I felt like I had grown in the class, right? Because like it's been years since I've been in a classroom setting. I'm talking.
Oh,
So my last memories were in high school, college. Getting a paperback that said, okay, yeah, and
oh,
getting redlined all over the place. But no, like so good. That was a good class. I mean, so yeah, I think I picked up a lot just from his perspective on things. So
cool. Yeah, and Scott's a cool guy too. So now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, which by the way, disclaimer, I meant to say instructors, not professors. We don't technically have professors, just so people don't get the wrong idea. But anyway, on the opposite end of the spectrum, what were maybe like some of the big struggles that you had at SDI? And that can
mm,
be anything. It could be like, in the classroom, if there was like stuff going on outside of it, or just like balancing work, school life.
I mean, like the challenges, because again, the challenges I faced a little bit were I'm not military, right?
Hmm.
Never been in the military, so I would say a huge portion of any of the classes I was in was people who were military, law enforcement, or first responders. I found myself in a very weird position where I had opinions that were vastly different about certain things, and so like
Yeah.
there was a struggle of knowing what to say that would provide value to the discussion. That was I never wanted to seem like I was saying something that was untoward, right? So
Sure. Sure. But I hope that's something that we're able to continue having is like a diversity of thought
mhm.
in order to get a more comprehensive view of this art form that we're involved in.
It's not, yeah, no, it's not so much that, right? It wasn't like I don't feel like I can't say things. I said things. Sometimes when someone would say something that was just categorically like that's not right. I mean, it was more that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? Like
Gotcha.
when stuff would get rolled off like that, I would be like, that's not right at all. Or someone would say, I can't do this because, and it's like, are you saying it because you literally can, or are you saying it because you have a mentality that won't allow you to do that, right? You
Hmm.
need to stretch yourself, right? Like there were people that example, and then there was one guy that was in our class, and he legitimately had a struggle with finances and getting stuff, right? And he put a call out, and I was like, dude, let's. And we talked to a couple of guys, we got some stuff together because like it was the kydex class, right?
Yeah.
And like he was having some struggles with that, and we got a couple of guys together, and we through the Discord we got a couple things together, and we got him what he needed, right? So
Yeah, and this is another reminder, check out the unofficial SDI Discord. Definitely a great resource for everyone out there. Definitely encourage you guys to check that out. Now, you finished a few weeks ago, right?
yes, I did. Hold on, I'll tell you. When was my graduation date? The fifth. It was the fifth.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember like when you sit in your video, like your video introducing yourself, you're like, I'm 3 weeks away from graduating. I'm like, okay, that's like right around the corner. But then that seems so long ago, the draft
Yes.
itself. Um,
Yeah.
so first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, Secondly, what do you think your biggest takeaway was from doing the program? Like the biggest lesson you learned?
Ooh. There are 5 ways to do the right thing. There are 5 ways to get to the correct answer, but picking that way is going to be up to you and how you see things, right? So
Hmm.
like in any kind of work that we do, like whether it's repair work, it's stock work, it's metal work, or it's business. Like I mean, the second biggest thing I got was the FFL because I was doing that in the middle of all this as well. I was like,
Sure.
I was because it was really funny because I got the 240 class, which is the business setting up of firearms. I think is that what that one is? I think business 240, but it's that one, and like so I was setting up an FFL at the same time, so a lot of the questions that were being asked in the class, both discussion and like the actual assignments, were asking stuff that I was doing in tandem. So it was really cool to see like how that naturally progressed, and because they talked about like setting that up. But that's kind of some of the biggest things I took away from it, right? Was validating a lot of the work that I was doing, but also giving me great ideas that you might want to try this. Like I went into getting my FFL thinking I wanted an SOT type 2.
Hmm.
Decided against that, relatively quickly because, that's a whole different set of paperwork, and that's a whole different set of things that as a person who's going to focus on restoring, do I really need that?
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool. And that actually leads excellent into, what I was going to ask you next. Basically, what are your goals now that you graduated? I know you have your day job
mhm.
with Chapel Hill. Now, with Tyro Firearms, is that something that you're seeing as like, side work, or are you trying to turn that full time? Just like what are your goals with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to build something that's both, I can do it on my own time and it's a full, I want to get into a full time way. I want to give something, build something that, potentially my kids can inherit one day, right?
Mm.
When I'm long gone and moldy, right?
Yeah.
So I want them to have potentially have something like that if they want. If they don't, that's fine too, but I'm trying to build something where I'm not beholden to, anyone but my own ambitions.
Mm.
And I think this provides a good opportunity because again, pretty well located here in this part of the country where just everyone has like 5 or 6 shotguns just sitting in their basement.
No kidding. Like you're not for a lack of potential customers, that's for sure.
And it's just reaching them. That's the thing. So, going to the barber shops, talking to those guys, because those guys are little chatty Cathys too. So they like to talk and stuff. So your name gets out there pretty quick. So especially if you like one of my first customers was at the barber shop. And he
Really.
went back and started talking to him as they're cutting his hair, and they started doing their little thing. And I was like, okay, here we go. So
Eh, I mean, hey, word of mouth is really the best marketing friend that you have.
boy, no joke. It's free if you do it right, and people trust it a lot more. It's first,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. That's a man. That is a lesson to learn right there. When someone trusts you and they start passing your name around, man.
Um, Now let's talk about the firearms draft a little bit. So
Yeah.
just to review, you drafted first pick, it was the Savage Contract Model 1863 58 caliber musket, which you had previously worked on before. Your second pick was the Jericho 941R handgun, one that you want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
and then also Cowboy Bebop. Um, Three was the 10 M67 frag grenades.
Yeah.
Really living up to that name, Peaceful Molotovs.
I didn't want to be too on the nose there, but yeah.
Yeah. And then
I was trying to live out my inner Burt Gummer.
listen, the joy I felt when I saw that come across, like some of the wild picks, because in years past, the wild cards normally it's an optic, which like totally makes sense. Yeah, I don't want to knock any of the guys that did what optics. That's just smart. That makes sense. But I love it when someone goes, you know what, we're gonna get weird with this right now. We're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna get a flamethrower. We're gonna do frag grenades. That's sick. But
The
out of
flamethrower was fun too. Like I was hoping someone was going to do that. So that I was not disappointed in that. So
but the best part was that I like was finding out about like firearms and like accessories that I'd never heard of. I'm like, and it's only that much? Okay.
yeah,
Really, the firearms draft is just an excuse for me to get a shopping list together.
I mean, like that's kind of what my wife was saying. Please don't consider this your invitation to buy more stuff. I was like, I got you. So, but yeah,
we
like yeah,
we know what we're doing.
yeah. I hope
But-
so.
and then finally, you had the Stevens model 520 12 gauge shotgun, which you had also worked on before. Now, first off, how do you feel now that the whole experience is over? It's been about a month. Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I very much, like I said, I enjoyed it because again, I got to talk to some people. Again, in the Discord, like there were some people that I've talked to for the last year, right? Just in chat, and like got to know them that way. And then to hear their voice and kind of see how some of their personalities are, see how they interact with other people. They say expectations and reality can often be disappointing, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't disappointed. I was very, very happy with getting to know these guys, in a more kind of personal way because you can tell a lot about somebody, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, meeting those guys was like just awesome. Like Owen was cool to me. I mean he's been kind of spearheading like a lot of the Discord stuff and getting a lot of things going and like kind of guiding us, like saying we're going this way, right? Like so if guys we want to do things, that's fine, but we're going this way, right? So try to keep it within the navigational beacons, right?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Owen, hopefully you got back from Texas all right, because he went to the NRA annual meeting. Um,
Yes, he did. He
yeah,
was posting a lot of fun things. I'm jealous.
I have to ask him to send me some of that. But looking back on your picks, you feel satisfied with how the board fell, with how, things fell into place?
But if I had to do it over again, I would probably do a different shotgun.
Okay.
Uh, again, I kind of went for like you guys said, I kind of went for the Tom Brady pick on the first one, so that kind of left me a little little light at the end there.
Oh,
So I mean, like, but again, I chose the shotgun because again, I want to work on it, but again, it also had the unique property of being able to slam fire, right? Because they when those were built, that wasn't a consideration that someone may do something like that, right?
uh-huh.
The safety and the sear are not designed to work in a way that makes it not able to do that. And so they're just like boom, boom, boom.
Uh-huh.
So, but again, like I said, I wanted to do something fun and unique that would make people laugh, but also something that's attainable for somebody like me
Sure.
to work on eventually.
Sure. And it was difficult, admittedly, for you guys as well. We didn't give like a scenario, like it wasn't exactly clear what you're drafting for. There was the ambiguity there. So hopefully that's something that like we can incorporate. So you guys know exactly what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is part of me that just likes the idea of just going vibes.
You're up in that chaotic neutral area of the grid, right? You're the
Absolutely.
aligned
Absolutely.
stars. I like that. I like that. So
So obviously, you want to work on the Jericho 941 at some point. What's one firearm that you haven't worked on so far that you dream of being able to?
ooh. All right. All right. So there's that's a great question. I mean, all right. So to work on to make sure that it is in proper working order, the Cerebu 50. And again, I know that's a controversial thing to say because
Mhm.
it's got the zip cap or the spin cap at the back, and but I think that can be a great weapon if used correctly and in spec, right? Like if you're doing it correctly and it's in spec, it's ready to go, and you're not trying to put a big round through it. Like I think you're fine. Like I think it's a fantastic weapon to work on. Again, I have no area around here to shoot that. We don't have any ranges around here that would
Sure.
allow me to do that. So, I mean, I've got the little range right outside the office here, right outside the workshop that I can at times get a 308 to hit the backstop and it's fine. But man,
Yeah.
but like I don't. That's a so that's the one I would want to work on because again, I'd want to make it safer. I don't know how to make it much safer than it already is, but man, that's what I'd want to redesign at least portions of it
Hmm.
because I know they make the bolt action version of it now, right?
Yeah.
So, and then there's the semi-automatic version, which has got the magazine, which is super nice. But yeah, but again, 50 cal was designed at a time where we didn't have the 416. So,
Hmm.
so
Cool. Now, Tyro Firearms, do you have like social media for that at this point? Website?
yeah, so I have a website. I do videos on YouTube where I show like some of my the repair work I do.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
do I do yeah I do stuff like that, and then I do try to do little funny shorts here and there because
And is that just under Tyro Firearms?
yeah, at Tyro Firearms. Reddit, you can find me on Reddit at Tyro Firearms. I'm in a couple of gunsmithing forums, providing the best information I can.
Cool.
On Facebook at Tyro Firearms. That as a security person, being on Facebook kills me a little bit, but I got to go where the people are.
Yeah. I understand that. I understand that. Cool. Well, before I let you go, anything else you want to add or just kind of plug or?
Yeah, if you're down in the Lexington, North Carolina area, and you want to come shoot some guns, like I said, I've got my little range out here. I've got some steel targets and whatnot. We can shoot. Love to have anybody who wants to come over, man. Right? Check out YouTube, see the videos. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I've got a thick skin. You can say whatever you want to.
Cool deal. Cool deal. Well, you did just gain one subscriber. That would be the SDI YouTube channel.
Woot!
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't know you had a YouTube, so I'm like, oh, yeah, we gotta subscribe. I keep up with you. I saw you had the your gun selections on the uh on the YouTube. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe there'd be like, because I'd watched the one from a couple of years ago where they did like in the middle, because I know you probably planned that one was planned out where you guys had people introducing stuff, and then like they were at I think you guys were at SHOT Show when you did that, right? Or is that the NRA meeting?
I think I'm trying to remember where he was at. That I think that might have been SHOT Show.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna do something like that, because like I said, I like making videos, so I'm like, let's do this, and
Oh,
it didn't work out the way. It's like, so I've still got it, so I just don't want to throw it out there.
yeah. Cool deal, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Josh. Talk to you later, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And so that was Josh Jenkins. Again, want to thank Josh for taking the time out of his day to talk with us. It was an awesome conversation. Makes me miss home a little bit more. But until next time, that has been the Gun Rack. Thank you guys so much. For me and Joey, have fun, stay safe, and we will see you at the range.
Sonoran Desert Institute is an online school accredited by the DEAC. It is headquartered at 1555 West University Drive in Tempe, Arizona. For more information about how you can craft your firearms future, visit sdi.edu.